Hello everyone and welcome. Simon here from the Whales of Wall Street. Hope you're doing fantastically well wherever you are in the world. Welcome aboard, whether you're listening or seeing, we welcome you all. I hear there are many people that listen to us in the car. How crazy is that? Maybe we need a podcast or a radio station or something, but it'd be very difficult probably to do 24/7 of talking crypto, although I think I could do it. Let's see. Might do it one day. Let's see if we can do it. Guys, today's video, EWT, that is the Energy Web Foundation token on the exchange. So guys, before we go into the chart, something I want to make clear here. Okay, so in the UK, the government has announced today that from now on in 2022, every new home will have to have a charging point on it. Okay, this is incredible. Now, we'll go on to the point why this is so effective in the crypto space in a second. But this is going to be huge. Okay, so across the world, really, in general, there's been a massive sort of intake, if you like, of aspects of what I would deem the energy crisis. Okay, the energy crisis. We've had big talks about the climate change and everything like this, guys. Of course, there's elements of the environment going wrong. We know this. But equally as well, when policies and agendas are put in place, you will find that over a few period of years, you will see a magnitude of narratives to push a specific system or sector. When you're in the investing space, like I'm quite new to it, but I've always had loads of questions over the last 5-10 years of life in general and loads of different aspects. And when I found out what blockchain was, it clicked in my head to figure out exactly what on earth is going on and what is to come. The energy sector is no different. Okay, so we know that renewable energy is very important. There are obviously better ways we could do some things. There are better ways than doing electric cars. Is it better or the same or worse than our current combustion engines? That remains to be seen, because obviously people talk about battery production and the environmental impact on that. But guys, this is a stepping stone. You can't just click your fingers and go, right, we got the answer here, because it's cost and everything. I remember when I was like probably 15 or maybe even younger than that, my dad took me to he was basically in like the defense and stuff, but there was like a trade day in Farnborough, right? It's got the airfields and stuff, but back in the day it was like Dara and stuff. But they had a big energy thing, and they were showcasing like wind turbines and how they will affect the world in the future. And I remember looking at like the models going, what on earth is this? Like, no one knew about it. It wasn't even, there were no wind turbines. Okay, it was just a concept. And by the way, there is a documentary on Netflix, or a film on Netflix, about an African child, I think, in the noughties or something, who developed one of the first ones in Africa by himself. And it's quite incredible. I'll try and remember the name of it and put it in the description. But anyway, off topic. So these wind turbines were set up in a model, and they showed how it would affect and power the housing and stuff. And I remember some people saying, like, it's not going to work, or this, that, and the other, or cost, blah, blah. And of course, over time, it was very expensive. It was very expensive for solar panels and things like this now. But now, we fast forward to 2021, very conveniently around the Agenda for a program and the World Economic Forum's push for sustainability, diversification, all of these things. Some are great, some are not so great. Whatever opinion you have of those, it's down to you. Go and do your research on those interesting platforms and forums and documents. And conclude yourselves. This is not for me to say what's right and wrong. It's just for me to say my observation and what I can see coming. Now, we know that renewable energy is a big topic. We know climate is, as we just mentioned. And all these things are coming together very, very nicely and conveniently in relation to these agenda programs. And of course, you've got like very key figures out there like Greta. You've got obviously Mr. or Sir, I call him a Lord actually, Sir David Attenborough. All different areas and different interests within this kind of problem, if you like, that we have in the world. And what's happening, guys, particularly with energy, and this is coming to the point of what I'm making about Energy Web token and other projects like it. We talk about Power Ledger quite often as well. Once you have a mechanism in place, and I speak openly about, we talked about like Blocksmove recently, and of course IOTA, big, massive AI IoT platforms, blockchain bringing automation and everything and anything that can connect to the internet together. Blocks Move picking together pieces of which, by the way, partner with Energy Web as well, allowing multiple transactions to be done in one to save time, efficiency, and everything like that for people. But when we're talking about the energy aspect, guys, we talked about this in previous videos. We talked about the fuel crisis coming. Why are they doing this? They are pushing people to think, narratively speaking, about electric vehicles, okay? Because we're going into autonomous aspects very soon, okay? Drones, shipping, agriculture, all these things, right? So to bring everyone into what they argue here on EWT is the powering the zero carbon economy, okay? So once you've got these infrastructures in place, solar panels, and by the way, for solar panels, not just talking about farms that you see with thousands of them on there, I'm talking about every house. Why is this important? Because every house will probably eventually have its own battery, and then eventually you'll have essentially community hubs. Now, community hub aspect is something I took from maybe Agenda 21 information signed in 92 about talking about the way that we will move towards community aspects, building hubs, new mini cities, new eco towns and things like this, so that we don't rely on having to go far and beyond to get to what we need. And it's almost like maybe something that's taken from China as a blueprint. I've been to China a couple of times, and I'm not even joking. Like, there's shopping centres, gigantic shopping centres. I'm talking about like, Westfield in London or something, or the Trafford Centre. Times that by 10, right, in terms of the size of the shopping centres, and then also times that by the amount of them. Because every few miles, I'm not even joking, every few miles there's a big shopping centre. It's building this like community hub element that you don't have to go and travel miles and miles and miles to get something that you want or go and do something you want. This is the whole plan. And the same will be happening with the energy infrastructure as well. You will be having the ability to become what they call a prosumer, meaning that you can obtain energy from your solar panels and anything else that you might have. Whether you live on a farm, you might have more than that. But you can enhance that power and sell it on the grid. Now, we've heard about this before from a government perspective of selling back to the grid. It's a similar concept. However, we are moving into tokenomics. This means that you and I could share our energy via tokenization and transactional ability through blockchain. Very quick transactions, through the algorithm of not being able for me to go, do you know what, I fancy charging 50 quid today, I could do with the money. I can't do that because actually the supply and demand mechanism of AI algorithm is already built into the systems. There's no corruption. There's no fraudulent activity anymore. You can't be dictated to by energy companies anymore that, oh, we're raising prices, we're doing this, we're doing that. When actually you can have literally the clarity for yourself to see whether that's true or not. And if you get fed up with them, you can go, goodbye, I'm getting my own converter, going on my own blockchain or my own system and spreading it around the community that way instead. It's beautiful, guys. There's so much greatness to it. Of course, I always talk about decentralization and centralization. What we need to be clear on is which way you go, because you will have centralized systems, of course. And there is an argument to say some of the projects that we enter in are sort of deeming between two at the moment. It's like a hybrid. It's like, do we want to go and help the likes of Shell and EDF, like Energy Web, for example, have partnerships with already, which we've identified in previous videos, as well as you can go on the website now and find loads of different ones as well. Social media aspects, big companies like Ripple, etc. Cars, we've mentioned before as well. You might ask why Vodafone's on there. It's all about the smart sensors and smart algorithms of things and being able to transact things willy-nilly basically in the future, and you could be paying for your bills like using play to earn and activity to earn and stuff. That is crazy. It's mind-blowing to the point where you're like, what on earth are you talking about? And it's once you break all this down and you see it, well, Eon's on here, that's my supplier, and that's where I'm talking about centralized systems. But do we want to be in that? Do we want to just have our own? And that's the flexibility of blockchain, because you will have the option essentially eventually to choose your path. But of course, most people do go along like the centralized system, because it's a bit easier and more efficient in that sense. If you know what you're doing, you could go the other way for sure. And you see all these Web3 hotspots coming out, like Helium and stuff like that. You could have the ability to be transacting and sharing energy in a peer-to-peer system. I guess that's the key terminology I haven't even mentioned in this video yet, P2P. Peer-to-peer, meaning that you have the power essentially from person to person to be able to conduct this. Okay, so I thought I'd bring these few points to your attention, but really reiterating back to this point, I'm not saying that they're doing this just purely for blockchain, but what I will say is the system of blockchain to accommodate this is going to be phenomenal, because this will be to a point where you could be driving past people's houses and your car will automatically charge itself as it goes past wirelessly, and the transactions will be done without you even knowing. Well, you will know about them, you know they're happening, but you don't need to worry about it. And then you're in a shared society, and then arguably, and this is where I get confused in the sense that I don't trust governments or anything much, to be honest, is do you then get a reflective point in saving money? Because essentially you would remove the ability for the need of tax and VAT, you would remove the ability for high costs or charging or utilization of things, because transactions on blockchain are so small and insignificant. If not, some are now providing opportunities for zero transaction fees. That do we get the saving? Because I've seen this many times in energy companies. Oh, we're using renewable energy, and you sit there, go, oh, cool, you're getting free energy, but you're still charging me 3 times as much as you should be. Why aren't you reducing it? This is where I'm a bit skeptical. Okay, so I'll be interested to see how that goes on, but that's why I'm saying to you guys, you have a choice right now in your minds to think ahead. That the options are here in our faces right now to discuss, to think about. And are you going to make an assumption? Are you going to do something about it right now and go, okay, I understand this, or I understand where the EV sector is going, I understand where tokenomics is going in energy. What am I going to do about it right now? Or are you just going to wait 5-10 years down the line when it's all implemented and you're stuck in the system still? You see what I mean? So it's just about awareness. It's about pulling together the ideas and what is coming ahead, because this is massive. This is just the UK. I know for a fact in China, over a 2-year period, that you have to wait 2 years on a waiting list to try and get a petrol car now in most regions. And also they provide up to 2 years of free electrical energy for you to charge your cars. They're way ahead in promoting energy and EVs. And we have a narrative here in the UK and across the world that China is terrible with the environment. Well, they know this, and they've been doing things about it a lot longer than we have, I can assure you. I'm not stupid. I don't listen to the circus reports of our media. I know most of it's propaganda anyway. But you have to be understanding of what's going on. Go and talk to people you know in these countries, and they'll tell you exactly the same. Move yourself away from these ridiculous media outlets and go and actually find the truth for yourself, and you'll be amazed. And you sit there going, wow, my country is actually absolutely terrible at this. And the UK is so slow. Honestly, I go down the roadworks, there's about 20 people just standing there every day. One person's on the digger, the other one's just standing around doing nothing or on their phone. And I see that repetitively across the UK. And I'm like, 1, this is taxpayers' money. 2, they're getting paid to do nothing. 3, no wonder it takes 6 months to fill a pothole. Come on. Rant over. But guys, back to this point. The government in the UK here is going to put a lot of money into this. And I know a lot of people in this sector, and I know companies that install them, and I know companies that make them. I know the factories that make them. This is massive. This is a massive sector. It's worth investing even maybe some stock market elements of energy, and especially in EVs. And I'm sure hydrogen cells and stuff like this will become very popular soon as well. But guys, I just thought I'd bring it to your attention and consider the transition aspect of blockchain, and particularly companies like Energy Web. We talked about Blocksmove, we talked about IOTA, we talk about Power, POWR as well. Power Ledger is doing phenomenal things in Australia right now. Very convenient. If you think about Australia's situation right now, ask yourselves the other aspect of that. Why are they blocking themselves from the rest of the world? Because they're encouraging a system that they can then actually centralize themselves in their own country and not rely on other countries as well. Trust me, watch this happen in the next few years. Australia will become a powerhouse, literally a powerhouse, and people will go, I wonder how that happened, because they shut everything down, kept everyone inside, and then brought all this to everyone's attention. Nothing is always what it seems. Open your minds, be curious, as Stephen Hawking said once upon a time. Guys, let's go into the chart. Smash that like button if you like what you hear or see, and subscribe to the channel if you've not done so already. I will leave a link in the description anyway for the timestamps of the chart versus the narrative part. It's probably a bit late now because I've made you sit here for another 10-15 minutes before I told you, but hey ho. Let's look at the chart, guys. So we are currently floating around 8.8 cents, $8.80. I get that right. $8.80 for EWT right now. On the performance indicator, we are down 14% on the week. We are down 13% on the month, 29% down on the 3 months as well. So it has had a bit of a tail off. Is that respectable? I think it is, because if you look back here, we had this marker here, 20th of July-ish. I'm just going to put a price range aspect here to just confirm. I know we did this maybe a month or so ago, but let's just double check. The tail up of that from the 20th of July up to this point here, the highest point on the 22nd of August, around $16, was a 274 take up. I think that's massive. We had a very nice correction down, and a very gradual one in my opinion. But if you were to draw a line here, I'm not going to do one now because I've got too many lines on here already, but that is very much in reality of where we should be right now in my opinion. If you were to draw a very nice trend line across here, I would believe so. And I'm just going to pull this macro fib retracement chart across a bit more here, just to indicate where we are with this. In fact, what I'll do is I'll just line that up as well. So guys, yeah, EWT is very much fighting a bit of a battle at the moment in terms of trying to push itself above these kind of markers. We did have good moves up to near enough the $10 mark quite recently, and we were above that, around that sort of $11, $12 mark about a week ago. So we will come back to that area for sure. And I think more narratives that come out about EV and energy in general, the better for EWT and other energy sector related crypto assets for sure. But I will just reiterate that there will be some fantastic games available in my opinion for EWT. I still believe we'll get over the $50 mark in this bull run for sure with EWT. That's my personal opinion. Let us know what you think about it in the comments below. But in general, this is for the future for me. Like we just mentioned a few areas of what's coming and the ideologies around them. And this is purely just going to happen. There's nothing we can do about it. It's going to happen. So for me, I'm invested in the future predominantly, and I'll be open about that. I do think we'll get some good gains in the coming months. But I think for me, I'm more than happy to keep accumulating this as and when I can. Do not be put off by price, because that's the dangerous game to play. You've got to look at things like obviously the supply and demand and everything like this, but also the project itself. How many times? I mean, it was a few months back when Solana was like $7, $8, wasn't it? And then now look at it. You can't have that point of, oh, it looks too expensive. You've got to reiterate yourselves, why is it that price right now? Of course, we have the big supply demand aspect. EWT, by the way, is very much partnered with gigantic organizations around the world, including governments, including commissions, especially in Europe. And we just saw some partnerships like with IOTA and coming together with blocks as well. So there's loads of things going, and it's understandable. This blockchain is actually, I believe, older than Ethereum. So you're going about, what, 8-9 years ago now, I think. So it's very much maturing itself, and I think this price will definitely fly, and once it does, it won't be coming back because we will be in a adoptive period of this kind of technology. It's just a question of switching it on. But in order for it to be switched on, blockchain needs to be implemented fully, and the whole transactional aspect. And of course, we know that's happening with CBDCs and things like this. And once that placement's in there, and you've got everything like energy-wise with EV charging points and your smart meters, these are all linked to the internet, guys. This is how it works. Okay, and then we're going to have the Web 3.0 hotspots everywhere. Trust me, go on Helium, and you'll see how many people are jumping into this. Even in my area, in the rural sticks, people have got hotspots everywhere. It's crazy. You're developing your own sort of system, and it's all going to be interlaced. Owning tokenomics, providing, sharing your internet, all of this stuff, sharing energy, sharing this, sharing that, all through tokenomics. It's coming. So don't be put off by the price. But let's talk about right now, $8.80. Obviously, we're in a bit of a bearish mood here. I'm just going to pull up this chart here. So the RSI has been very volatile. So right now, of course, yesterday it came down to around 39-ish. I think that's very respectable. We floated up and then back down to around 42. So we're having a very slow, albeit it's in a positive way. We've had this sell-off period arguably since the 21st of October. The histogram is showing a reduction in this volume, and I'm really looking to see if this MACD will narrow itself slightly. I'm ignoring the take-ups like this because this is down to sort of announcements, and you've got the drop-downs because of Bitcoin leveraging and this, that, and the other. So it's a bit skewed in terms of data. But for me, I reckon in the next week or so that we will switch this over, and certainly through December into January, as more and more energy narratives come out, and particularly the roadmaps of Energy Web continue, we'll start switching this back and taking it up to another new heights for EWT, in my opinion. Of course, we are still far off, I believe, from the previous all-time high. But what is very encouraging is, this support mechanism that we are trying to build right now at this sort of $8.7, $8.8 mark. The all-time high previously 23, so we've got quite a bit of a time to go for that marker. And then once we fly past that, you're looking at big moves, really. Obviously not immediate moves, but certainly in gradual moves, sort of 24 to 28, then we're hitting the sort of 34 mark, and then beyond that we are really looking above that $50 mark. I think the top end could potentially be around $70-$80. Whether we get to that or not, I'm not sure, but I think in particular this project is very undervalued. I don't think the awareness is massively around it, but I personally think when you've got justification in terms of research and what the project stands for, these are the kind of projects that are really worth, in my opinion, it's not financial advice, really worth investing in, because they almost look boring, or no one knows enough about them, or simply the institutional level know enough about them, hence why there's so much volume going in every day, and has been for the last couple of years for Energy Web Token and others like it, to suggest that these people know what's happening and what's going to occur. Us as retail investors have a duty, or certainly YouTubers have a duty as well, to try and enhance the narratives and push the knowledge and research out of projects like this to the general public to make their own informed decisions. I think more and more people that wake up to this, obviously the price will start jumping up. So that's where I'm in the position wise. But I do think in the next few days we're going to see hopefully a bit of a more positive mood for EWT. We could potentially come back down just under that $8 mark, just to really confirm and triple test this area just on the $8 mark itself. But if we can get support around where we are currently, I think we could start pushing back up to that $10 maybe in the next week or so. But I'm super excited about this project. I think generally the sector, the way blockchain and energy is going to continue is just incredible. I know I talk about this quite a bit in longer videos, but that's because I had the passion, the interest in it, and general knowledge of it from one reason or another. But guys, let us know if you're holding EWT or any of the other energy tokens in your portfolio. Let us know what price points you got in it as well. But I for sure personally am accumulating this as and when I can, as much as I can. And I think it's going to be a great run on this one for this year and in the bull run. And I think certainly for 5-10 years time, when full development occurs, it is going to be a giant. Thanks for watching, guys. We'll catch you in the next EWT video. Bye bye.